Welcome back. You're still listening to News and Views right here on Salam Media. The time is 25 minutes past 9, and we're going to be turning on our focus to a bold and very, very urgent call rising from the shores of Malaysia and echoing across the globe as the siege on Gaza continues to tighten and international law continues to be shattered in plain sight. Civil society is refusing to remain silent. A new powerful movement is now in motion, one that promises to shake the waters of global inaction. This movement is called the 1000 Flotilla Initiative, a coordinated civilian-led maritime uprising to break the illegal blockade on Gaza and to deliver life-saving aid to people under siege. You've all seen the images coming out of Gaza. We've all heard the stories about how bad the situation has become. No kind of aid coming in, no medicine, no food, no baby formula. The people essentially left to die and to rot by the Israeli apartheid regime. And this one particular flotilla initiative has been launched in response to the seizure of the Madlin. I think one that we also covered extensively here, the humanitarian ship which had the likes of Greta Thunberg on board. This initiative plans to send 1,000 civilian ships from every continent to Gaza in a peaceful defiance of Israeli naval aggression. And at the heart of the campaign is a haunting image of Madlin, the Palestinian girl whose bloodied flag-bearing photo captured global attention before she vanished in an airstrike. She's now the face of this flotilla, a child, a symbol, a call to act. And joining us now is the man behind this movement, Azmi Abdul Hamid. He's the president of the Malaysian Consultative Council of Islamic Organizations, and he's been part of past flotilla missions and now leads this unprecedented global call to sail for Gaza. Mr. Azmi, assalamu alaikum. Jazakallah so much for joining us, and really looking forward to hear more insights on this 1000 flotilla initiative that you guys have embarked on.
Yes, alaikum salam rahmatullah. Thank you so much, Brother Selelo. Shall I address you?
Yes.
Thank you for the invitation. Now, just briefly, I mean, you can ask more questions after this. This 1000 Flotilla initiative, ships to Gaza, this is a global humanitarian armada to break the siege. And the mission that we have when we were thinking about this is to mobilize a global civilian-led humanitarian flotilla comprising about 1,000 ships from nations across the world, aimed at breaking the illegal and the inhuman blockade of Gaza by sea, and also to deliver essential aid and express our solidarity and international, and bring this international pressure for Palestine liberation. Now, this mission is not only about delivery of goods; it is a symbolic and strategic act of resistance to declare that Gaza is not alone and the world will not stay silent. And therefore, we have listed about 6 strategic objectives of this initiative. One is to break the siege by asserting international civilian presence in the Gazan waters. Number 2 is to deliver the critical humanitarian aid, including food, medicine, shelter materials, communication tools, and solar units. And we are also aiming at to mobilize the global civil society to act in unity across continents. We want to exert diplomatic and media pressure on Israel, the US, and complicit regimes. We're also trying to build the momentum for international legal action, as what South Africa has done. This legal action against the blockade as a war crime. And finally, we are trying to reclaim the maritime right of Gaza and challenge Israel's naval restrictions. So those are the essential things about this initiative, Brother Solego.
My next question, I think, would be one that everyone around the world would be asking themselves. We saw how the Freedom Flotilla and the Madlin was treated. We saw how those activists that were on that flotilla were captured, how they were abused throughout their route to Gaza. What lessons have you learned, and are you not scared that the impunity of the Israeli forces will be doubled down on this 1000 flotilla initiative that you guys have embarked upon?
Yes, of course, the risk is very clear. The what we're going to face is kind of a life and death situation. Knowing Israel and the brutality and the kind of the way they approach anything to do with parties who wants to go into Gaza. And this Madlin is not new. Before there was a few missions that was initiated. Mavi Mamara was a very highlighted mission that time, and that was even brutal because they killed the crews on the ship, and there were other few attempts, and we know that the consequence of being at the very least to be captured and arrested, and then to the extreme maybe they've been killed. So we know that as a reality. But then why do we go in for this kind of initiative? It is exactly because when we say it is a 1,000 flotilla ship, it is an very overwhelming number that I think will be the focus of the world if we have 192 countries, if 50 or even 100 countries participate among the people, then the sea of Mediterranean will be high. It's the spotlight of the world, and I think although we know that the possibility of being attacked or at least be captured is there, but having 1,000 ships with so many flags of the world, um, I I have kind of feeling that Israel would not be able to handle such civilian ships coming in, and the most that it can do is to block the whole waterways. But then it can be a kind of pressure that Israel will definitely have to submit through this. And if you have more and more coming, you may shoot one, you may shoot three, you may shoot 10, you may shoot 20, and kill people, but there will be thousands of ships in the sea, and I think the world will not just be just a spectator. That's the assumption and the kind of calculation we have.
Mm, mm, mm. Before I get to the logic, the logistics, and just the nitty gritties of this campaign, I want us to speak about the name. The Madlin. It's more than just a ship. It represents, I think, something that is way bigger. Can you maybe unpack a bit more on that name, and what message does Madlin mean to this movement, and to maritime exhibitions like this one?
Yeah, of course, we know Madeline was the name of this girl who showed the world, the kind of courage that has to be what you call, portrayed. And that's why Greta Thunberg, this Swedish activist, led this 12 crew on the Madeline, bringing the spirit, because the Madeline is a one girl who has stood up, and she has been well, finally, we don't know the future, but we know that she's already been treated badly, and maybe she's already no more alive. But Madeline was the center of the world attention for that, and that's why this Madlin ship was named, um, bringing that spirit. Now, the initiative we're having with 1,000 Flotilla is also named after her, but we call it the Madlin 2.0
Mm,
as a continuation. And then as we know that whatever limitation we have, whatever consequences that we may face, but I think this central bond that we have among all people who are going to participate in this is the spirit of defiance and the spirit of wanting to do something, not waiting for governments of the world which have failed. The international community has, been paralyzed. And therefore this people's movement is an alternative, and we have to name it with something that binds us. And I think the Madlin name is there for us, and I think that will capture the attention. And this is, as I said just now, a humanitarian armada to break the siege. So that is why we symbolize this movement from that name again, Madlin.
mm.
We call it Madlin 2.0.
Mm, mm, mm. I want to focus on the nitty gritties of where we are when it comes to the logistical part of organizing. I think such a campaign. I think it's really really big. I think it's of proportions that have never been seen before. Where are we? Which countries are interested to join? When are we set to set? When are we set to sail? And are there specific kind of aid that you guys are planning on bringing into Gaza? And how can people get involved, most importantly?
Okay, yes, this is quite a massive kind of planning that we have to do, because you are attending and you're trying to attract this huge number of ships. Um, and therefore, we are facing our work with several levels that we have to prepare before we go into really registering people who wants to join in. The first phase that we have to um, employ is the mission design and the international coalition. Now, we have to start by establishing an international coordinating committee, and then the outreach of these at least 100 plus NGOs and unions, religious institutions, civil society groups. Those are things that we have to identify, and we sort of also thinking about on at this phase is developing a kind of manifesto. We call it maybe Gaza has the right to live free and sovereign. And then we have to secure endorsement from global personalities, parliamentarians and faith leaders. At this stage also we have to refer to legal advisory, the panel which we will assemble to prepare for the any international legal challenges. So that will be the first phase. Now, the second phase of the preparation of this is the fleet mobilization and logistical planning, as you said just now. Number one is what we have to do now is to map the participating countries for departure points. Now, if my count is right, around the Mediterranean, there are 25 countries bordering the Mediterranean Sea, and therefore that would be the most sensible departure points that we should recognize. And number two is we have to register vessels, the cargo ships, either the fishing boats, the yachts, or the ferries. And on that stage, securing maritime insurance, the naval route clearance, and emergency protocols is also to be dealt with. We are trying to have a coordination with maritime legal experts to challenge Israeli restrictions, and we will go again on the logistics for the aid packaging, the cold chains, medicines, and satellite communication equipments. And it is very important at this stage also to have a training volunteers and crews on non-violence resistant protocols and maritime survival. Now that is a phase two. Now the phase three of our preparation is the media and the diplomatic and the public mobilization. This includes the international campaign, which we will phrase as 1,000 ships, one message, free Gaza. And also we are talking about the mobilizing celebrity endorsements and Nobel laureates, clergies and academics. We're going to do some lobbying with sympathetic governments like Turkey, Indonesia, South Africa, Iran, and we will be coordinating global demonstrations on the launch day. Um, we will have digital campaign hubs in about 25 countries using the hashtag Gaza Flotilla 1000. Now, I think I'll come back to the people are really, very interested. I've been getting calls. We have to coordinate the departure dates. And all fleets begins to move within like maybe 48 to 72 hours before. And we are setting like 2 months from now that the date that we're going to have a meeting next week, a few days more, to actually try to see the possibilities of deciding on what date the preparations and until the date of sail. And from all different departure points, we have to coordinate so that when we move, we get that numbers at the international waterways, and then we will plan the whole coordination of the move, and the rest will come when we start to be on board. And let me just also, we are not talking about just this mission that we are going to plan, which is definitely a very massive kind of operation, but we are also thinking about, if you have 1,000 ships, getting at least from 50 to 70 or 100 countries with people on board, the message would be very strong, of course, and all governments, having their own people, their own citizens going there, should feel that they have also they are duty bound to protect their citizens in that sense, and also the whole international community should look at the protection of people on board. How do we participate in this? We have to be a bit patient. We will have an international hybrid meeting for the next few days, and some committees will be formed, and we will then decide and we will publicize the way that we are going to organize the whole logistic. Definitely, people from outside of Mediterranean Sea would not be able to have ships coming from such a distance, like from Malaysia, Indonesia. What we are trying to assume that we will buy or rent a ship in those areas, and we can participate by sending our delegates from here to fly over there. So that kind of logistics are still in the planning session, and with 1,000 sheep, my count is that we may have probably 10,000 participants on board all the 1,000 ships. If we have even more, then the number will be much higher. But as of now, the count is 10. If we say minimum 10 people on board on one ship, then you have 1,000 ships, and you have 10,000 people in the Mediterranean Sea. So that is the kind of scenario that we are expecting, but things will be very fluid, and I mean the planning of the logistic, of course, is most important, but the more, and on top of that is the the whole announcements of this. um, Israel is going to right now pay attention very seriously, of course. They will be thinking of many ways to fail this. But I think the fact that people are talking about it worldwide, I've been getting calls from even New Zealand, even Russia, even Portugal. I think people are so excited about it, but we have to be highly alert of consequences of sabotage and what Israel may want to do, even US wants to do to stop this mission.
You're talking about the element of sabotage, and I wanna stick on that. I spoke to a lot of activists and organizers of the Freedom Flotilla, and one thing that they struggled with for a very long time was flags. So I think ships and these boats have to fly have to sail with flags of certain countries, and the issue was Israel putting pressure, and the United States of America putting pressure on some of these countries to withdraw their flags, so that these boats and ships don't sail using them. So essentially, you are in international waters without bearing any flag. How do you guys plan on mitigating this challenge? And I think it's a very, very important one.
Yeah, I'm not that familiar about international maritime law, but I think our experts are going to advise us on that. Of course, as you said just now, there are already sounding about pressuring governments not to allow their people to go on a boat with their flags.
Mm,
Um, I think such attempts will be done, but more openly, my assumption is that people would have the right to display their flag or to show that they are coming from a country, and because there are so many ships in the sea, and the identification of who are on the ship from where they are is reasonable. It's sensible to have your flag, to be shown when you sail. But then again, we'll refer to the experts on the international laws about how people sails on the sea. Um, you know, Israel, we know for a fact that they don't actually care about international law, because the interception of what happened on the ships before was in an international law. They even have not been able to get into Gaza waterways, meaning that Israel is doing something also unlawful when you go into a you intercept, or even you kill people on the ship. That is clearly against the international law. So we are trying to prepare ourselves on this. We are trying to educate ourselves, and let's see if nations leaders would give remarks, and we will see how we respond to this. But I think on the legal aspect on how we're going to deal with this will be discussed in a group of committees that will focus on this issue.
No, definitely. I think we're going to leave on that note. Azmi Abdul Hamid, president of MAPIM. Jazakallah so much for giving us your time. We'll be following you guys quite closely, and we hope to chat to you soon as things start catching steam, and this 1000 flotilla campaign makes its way to international waters. Good luck, all the best, and hope we
Thank
chat
you.
soon.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Salera.
There we go. Yeah, I think really, really interesting and wonderful campaign by Azmi Abdul Hamid, president of MAPIM. And yeah, brilliant, eh? Imagine that 1,000, boats and ships in the Mediterranean making their way to Gaza. I think it would be something that has never been seen before on that scale. I think it will further, show the solidarity that the international world essentially has for the people of Gaza. And to put attention on this genocide that has been ongoing in Palestine for almost 600 days now. And yeah, we hope it catches steam. We hope that it does happen. We need more initiatives like this one to break the siege on Gaza. And yeah, you can find out more, support the campaign, or join the Flotilla movement by visiting their MAPIM website. So it's MAPIM, and you can reach out to them directly on their social media pages, and you can be part of something bigger, be part of the difference. Granted, there are dangers. We've seen it with the Madlin. We've seen it, with the Flotilla, other Freedom Flotilla campaigns that have happened before. That the the danger is there. But when the ears and the eyes of the world, like they were with the Madeleine just a few weeks ago, are, closely monitoring and following, the situation becomes a bit easier. And in essence, it exposes the Zionist regime of just how much impunity, they continue to go about, abusing essentially everyone and anyone that doesn't agree with them and that doesn't support this genocide that they're perpetuating against the people of Gaza. So yeah, I think a really, really wonderful campaign. I'm just visualizing it: 1,000 ships in the Mediterranean making their way to Gaza. I mean, it would be something really, really beautiful to see, and it'll send a very, very strong message of solidarity with the people of Palestine. We're going to take a quick break. News and views continues after this.